My monthly group coaching program, I have women before each month reflect on the past month. And one of the things they have to fill out is what reflections do they have and what celebrations do they have. And for some women, it's almost a shock to the system because when I work with women in design, engineering, I work with women who are in problem solving fields. And when we are in problem solving fields, we get very, very accustomed to searching out the problem, finding it, finding a solution, dispatching it, and then moving on to the next problem to solve, right? Here, what problem came up in the construction site? What things do we have left to resolve before we submit the set? What remains on the punch list before we close out the project? And so that mindset, which is really, really effective for the work we do, is also a little bit of a challenge when it comes to how we identify how to do career growth and then motivate in order to make it through the long process of career growth. Because a lot of the things that we want, a lot of the goals that we have for career growth are not easily dispatched problems, right? They're not like, oh, we need to figure out which product to specify. Okay, research a few, come back with the best solution. Bam, done, right? It's not a punch listable item, right? Need to learn how to delegate. Bam, 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 check, done, right? But along the way, when we're building out these longer term skills, these capacities, growing into the ability to operate at a higher level or push ourselves more, there are actually partial wins along the way. And those partial wins need to be celebrated and acknowledged, because otherwise we can't learn from the experience of trying things a new way, right? We don't learn from what worked, what didn't work, what am I going to do next? And we also sometimes lose motivation, especially when these goals are kind of fuzzy or involve soft skills. So I'll give a quick example from a real coaching cohort. A lot of women are working on how to become better delegators. They know that they need to train the people who they work with. They know they need to empower them to take more work off their plate so that they can do the higher level work that only they can do, or growing into even that next level of higher level work. But learning how to delegate is a process, and it's not something that can be learned overnight. So one woman reflected and celebrated and realized that she's actually getting more sleep than she ever has before. She's used to working late into the night, and it's really a challenge because the more tired you are, the harder it is to pull yourself out of the day-to-day, see where things are going, and stay abreast of things. Burnout is a real challenge, and there's a great book that I'd love to recommend called Scarcity, and one of the things they look at is time scarcity. And when we try to go past a certain point in our productivity, we can actually end up creating quality control issues down the line because we're more burned out. There's so much more to pay attention to that we might miss key things, and productivity can actually go down. So getting more sleep, which is great for her and also for her projects, but then also, she started delegating. Great. Now, challenge is that delegation is not perfect, right? Sometimes her reports are not getting their work done on deadline. Sometimes maybe that quality level is not quite where it should be. I hear from a lot of women, it would have been faster if I did it myself, which if you've, ever learned how to manage, you're probably nodding to yourself being like, yep, I remember what that feels like. Or if you've been managed, right, you can remember what it feels like to know that you're taking too long to do something too long, right? Because you're learning it. Now, it could be a failure, right? This woman's experience delegating because that work is not getting done at the level that it needs to get done yet. Or it's actually partial wins along the way to learning how to delegate much, much more effectively. So first step is start doing it. Now she can actually ask herself, okay, what's working and what's not working? And what do I want to try next month in order to increase the quality of what I get, right? This is a learning process, not just for me, but for my report. So how do we go on a journey of making sure that quality increases over time? What am I going to try next month to make sure that works? And then also, what about that deadline, getting things ahead of deadline? What do I need to change in my management style in order to make sure that things are done according to deadline, right? Then in some ways that problem solving skill that you have of taking apart a situation and saying, we need to fix this. What if we try that? You can apply that to your own career growth. And when you recognize that career growth is a series of setting a high level goal and then taking your first step and then assessing and not just saying, okay, what's next, but celebrating what has been achieved and then problem solving. Okay, what's that next thing I'm going to try to fix this challenge that's coming up? You will look back in 6 months to a year and just, you will be shocked at how far you've come. So celebrating is a really, really big part of, I think, both the design process and the problem solving process, and also the career growth process. And even though it can seem kind of fuzzy and kind of almost Pollyanna-ish, it actually has an incredible strategic value.